Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. Our topic today is continuous improvement and you. Jan chose our topic for today. She is from the technical field and wanted to look at the concepts that applies to manufacturing and to businesses, the corporate world, and how we can apply it to our, not only to the business world, but also to our individual lives. And that the three predominant things is for things to run smoothly, for there to be an increase in profit, and for there to be a decrease in how much energy or how much cost it takes to get those increased profits. So Jan, where are we going
All
with
right.
this?
Well, continuous improvement is something that's kind of become a way of life with me. Back when I was a quality engineer and a student of Deming and learned a lot about continuous improvement, where we're looking at our processes and trying to find a way to make them more efficient. And everyone's interested in cutting costs and getting more productivity, but it's also a way to reduce errors and to keep things running better and better. You keep learning about why things aren't going as well. You learn new technologies and figure out a way to speed it up or how to improve it. But you can apply that to your life as well. And I find that in my personal life, I'm always looking to improve things, to make things better, to make me a better person. And I think that's one reason why choice theory appealed to me so much. Well, choice theory and reality therapy, the whole piece on, am I happy? Is my life going the way I want it to go? And I understand that I am empowered to make changes. And so I just keep looking at different ways to make my life better, with my relationships, with my health, and in just all kinds of areas. Especially if you're sitting around and you're thinking that you're not happy with the way things are, to say, well, who's responsible for that? And so you just kind of take the bull by the horns and take responsibility and say, well, I am. I can make things better. I can try to be happier every day. I can fake it till I make it, pretend like it's a good day. And, when you go around telling everyone hello and smiling and trying to put a little spring in your step, you do feel better. And so you just keep adding these little things to your day that help you to have a better day, a more joyful day. Add things to your life that help you to feel good, so your health is good. And I just think it's a great thing, great habit to get into and to keep looking. And you never get bored when you do that, because there's always something to work on.
Right. It's looking at the fact, last week when I was talking about it's an inside job, is looking at the fact that we're not born once and done.
Right.
That there's something always to keep growing, to keep stretching, to keep learning. There's just always something to do. And then putting it in with potential. I worked with a client last week, and I don't remember just exactly what the issue was. Well, I do remember, but I'm not going to bring it up. But I said, well, what? Let's look at what the potential outcome would be. And the thing of it is that potential is always ongoing, that even whenever there's a little improvement, there's a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
There's that possibility that it's a continuous, ongoing thing. And so we never reach our full potential.
No, we don't. We don't. There's always so much more potential than we can ever imagine to reach. Just keep stretching ourselves and pushing ourselves.
Yeah, and living in that mystery, that all of those unanswerable questions that we've thought about, and thought, well, I thought I wanted this, and I thought I wanted that. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I'm looking at in the product that I'm making, the effective decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking in there about how our dreams and our fears, what am I afraid of, or what am I dreaming about? Sometimes it seems as though they're unknowable, but they are knowable. We just kind of have to dissect them apart and look at them to see, why am I on planet Earth? What am I here for? And then ask some unanswerable questions that just the fact that we've asked them, it has opened the door and turned the lights on.
Yeah.
And then as we walk into another room, because we do have the lights on already, you know, we're looking for something else, we can see something we hadn't seen before that, again, is another little potential thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of thing too that's very interesting about continuous improvement is you start noticing things you hadn't noticed before. And you notice them in a way that, oh, maybe that's useful for me, or maybe that's something I should have done something about, 10 years ago. But you're kind of blind to them because you're not opening yourself up to new things and new ideas. Or when you're starting to learn a little bit and improve yourself and keep pushing yourself forward, some of those things that you may have ignored in the past come out right in front of you, and you're going, wow, I never noticed that before.
Right, right. And then I think of the fact that, well, I have this, here I am, I'm holding all of the information I've accumulated thus far in life. And I want to hold it loosely because I always get new information to let it come in. But at the same time, I don't want to be stagnant. So I have this little release thing here. I'm going to always receive and always release. That what is no longer usable, that's no longer, well, I can just release it.
Yeah.
And so the more I think about that, the more I realize that, getting a little bit older and so forth, I don't always remember, I mean, I can't, it's like it's not coming together. I don't know who that person was and what movie they were in originally and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big deal. I don't need to remember that. It's like
I don't want to clutter my brain with that stuff.
Right. It's like Einstein. Einstein said, and he was not the least bit embarrassed about saying it, that he didn't even know his own phone number.
Oh.
But he knew how to look it up.
Right.
So why boggle your mind with things that are trivia or are okay to know, but it's not so essential to what you're learning and doing now? And so sometimes I think we need to forget so that we can remember more.
Yeah. No, I agree with that because I think that your brain does get so cluttered up. It's like it can just hold so much. And so let me let go of some of this other stuff. And,
Yeah, at least for that instant recall.
Right.
Now, it may eventually, not be gone completely.
Yeah.
But,
and if I'm afraid of forgetting it, to make sure it's in a spot where I can retrieve it if I need it sometime later.
Yeah. And so the other day I was reading and I came across a quote from old Henry David Thoreau from, in his Walden's Pond thing. And I've heard the brunt of that quote many times and have even memorized it. If we advance confidently in the direction of our dreams, we're going to meet with, in common hours, we're going to meet with these things unexpected. But I went back and I looked at the original, what was in the book. And he says, I learned this, at least by my experience, that if one advances confidently in the directions of his dreams, endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. We'll put things behind. Feels like forgetting to me. We'll pass an invisible boundary. We don't know, we don't think we've passed it, but we've passed it. And new, universal, and more liberal laws will be established themselves around and within him, or the old laws will be expanded and interpreted in his favor in a more liberal sense, and he will live with the license of a higher order of being. That if you have built castles in the air, your work does not need to be lost. That it's where it should be. Now, put the foundation under it. So if we're stuck, get over the inertia. Maybe sit with that inertia for a few minutes. Let it sink in and then realize, but that's not who I am. That there's still some energy within you. There's still some thoughts. There's still some things that need to be said. There's still some things that I can do. I can still contribute, regardless of, in what area it's in.
Right. You can. You just need to kind of look around a little bit, be a little creative maybe. and see what can I still do? What am I still able to do?
Yeah. So what do you do? How do you become, what are some things that we can become involved with, or to awaken those potentials that means we haven't done it yet?
Yeah. Well, I think, the one place to look is, what are you dissatisfied about? Because there's always something in our life that we're not quite happy with the way it goes. Okay, is there anything within my control that I can do to make it better for me, so I can move forward on it? And you start there, because there's always something that you can work on and move forward with.
Yeah, maybe even like, what attitude am I holding on to that's no longer serving me?
Yeah.
Or how do I think it's serving me when in reality, if it's keeping me stuck, that doesn't sound like service.
No. Or to look at it realistically. What am I really getting from doing this? How is it really serving me? I know this is comfortable to do this, but it doesn't look good on me anymore.
Exactly. Like sometimes you could be, sometimes you may have been snarky and it really put the other person off, and it was like, oh, whoa, I rung it up that time. But
Mm-hmm.
yet, what has it done to the relationship?
Right.
And so it needs to stay instead of pushing away, it needs to be a time of rebuilding. And it's got to start with me and how I respond to things, how I begin to see them, give a little bit more grace, give a little bit more.
Or pay attention to how people respond to things you say, like what their facial expressions or their mannerisms, what do they do when I say something? Instead of being so focused on what I'm saying and what I'm doing, is pay a little attention to those around us and see how are they responding? Is it a favorable reaction? Is it not favorable? Can I do something differently there?
And that's going to reduce stress and increase joy?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is joy?
Joy is something, I never really used that word much until I started working with the Glasser Quality Schools. And they talk about creating joy in the classroom. Because, when you talk about happiness, a lot of people think, well, you can't be happy all the time. And what if I don't want to be happy? And it's kind of like a really high expectation. But joy is more of a just a positive feeling that it's not negative, and that you're feeling like you can keeps you motivated, keeps you moving forward. I mean, it's not that you're really having a great time learning, and maybe you are, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are. It just means that I'm making progress. I don't have anybody who's pulling me back or discouraging me. I'm staying motivated, and where it's you just keeping you on the positive side of the emotional scale.
Right. You're still on the go. It's do not pay $200. Do not go back to jail. Do not. That tomorrow we know the sun's going to come up, and that it'll be a different day, and we can enjoy. We can enjoy life because we have joy, not necessarily a ha-ha laugh out all the time, but it's pleasant.
Right.
It's not unpleasant. It's joyful. It's full of stuff that's okay. It's like, it's easy to digest. It's easy to be a part of.
Yeah.
Just to have
because
some joy.
It's easy when you're learning something and you're just not getting it. And to feel discouraged because others around you are understanding it and moving forward, and you're not. And so that's a negative feeling. But if you're getting encouragement and support from other people and saying, well, let's think about it a different way. Let's talk about it some other way to try to help you to understand, where they're trying to bring you along, up to where everybody else is, up to the understanding, instead of just saying, well, that's over your head, just figure it out and come back when you're ready. You have people working with you and helping you to move forward. And so that gives you a lot better feeling than the helpless feeling you get when they're trying, but you're not getting it.
Yeah.
And then nobody cares that you're not getting it.
Right. I watched a YouTube earlier this morning, and it was by Bob Kaylor, Kaylor, and it was called The Spitting Image. And he was talking about the fact that he had been adopted, and he had a wonderful life, but he wondered about why he was given away or not with his family of origin and all this kind of stuff. And so he'd been hearing more and more about these DNA.
Oh, the testing.
Yeah, the genetic things and so forth. And so he said, sometimes you hear that he didn't have anybody to tell him he was a spitting image of anyone, that you knew you belonged to a family if you were the spitting image of Uncle so-and-so or all this kind of stuff.
Right,
you could look at those traits within you. And so he said that in order, he said, well, okay, I want to find out about my family. And the particular one that he went through, their slogan was, everybody has a fascinating story. Let us tell yours, or help you find yours, or something like that. And so he thought, well, all right, I'm going to try this. It was only for $100. So he was going to try that. And he said he found it really interesting that, in order to get this, who you're the spitting image of, you had to spit in the cup.
Oh, right. Yep.
So you send in that, and then they take it and they tell you who's been swimming in your gene pool. And all this kind of, and he said he found out some really, really, really wonderful things. That the more he got to thinking about it and looking at, the home that he was reared in and brought up in, and they're faith-based and everything. Now we talk about, they're made in the image of Christ. And he said, whenever you put spitting image together, that's the spiritual image of. And how that we're all connected. I mean, we're all connected.
Yeah.
Maybe 100 times removed, but we're still connected. It's part of the family of the universe of planet Earth. No matter, and as we begin to study things more and more and more and more and more, we see how that sometimes even just the soil in which our food was determines so much about our physical being. And I was hearing a podcast, and it was some famous doctor, and I'll think of his. That's one of those things that slipped my mind. I'll think about it before.
You saved room for something else.
Right.
You needed that room for something.
But anyway, whatever one, Dr. Ornish, Dr. Ornish.
Oh, Dean Ornish. Okay.
Dean Ornish, that's who said it. Anyway, and he has written this book. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm going to. And this book, the name of it is, well, I'll think of that in a minute too. But anyway, what he said was that in looking at all of the diseases and everything, he says there's only one disease. And it manifests as cancer, it manifests as heart, it manifests as all different kinds of, but there's only one disease. And I'm thinking, whoa, I've got to get that book and read it. And it's a 3-word, and I'll think of it, I'm sure, before we're over with here. That it's looking at that we really are all one.
Mm-hmm.
And little things matter.
They do. I mean, Dean Ornish is on the whole plant-based diet side of the world, which is part of where I'm diving into now to improve myself and get lower my blood pressure, lower my cholesterol, and take care of all that kind of stuff. And it does boil down to the food that you eat, and it does manifest itself. I mean, because eating certain foods cause inflammation in your body. And that inflammation shows up in different ways for different people. For some people, it shows up as heart disease. For some people, it shows up as cancer. Some people, it shows up as arthritis. But you can go back to one cure or one thing to help make things better, and that's what you're putting in your mouth, which is really, it was real interesting. I mean, because my husband and I were both doing this. And we both had certain ailments that are going away, and we're doing the same thing, and they're different things that are improving and getting better. Uh, but that goes
Right.
back to learning about what keeps us going, what is healthy for us, what isn't healthy for us, and then choosing which one of those things we're going to do, because for some people it's difficult to give up certain foods. I mean, it's hard to give up sugar or sweet things and salty food and stuff. But if you really believe that it's going to help you out in the long run and improve your quality of life, and that's important to you, then go for it.
Right. But I just found that so interesting that, just that the one disease. And sorry, I can't remember
You're
the
not
name
finding
of
it, huh?
Huh?
You're not finding it.
No, I was going to, I think I've got it on my list of books to get, but I'm not even sure right this minute where that is.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I've read one book of his. I can't remember what the name is either. But there's a lot of things. I mean, it just goes to try things out. I was in the science field, and so I learned how to do experimentation. So I experiment a lot with my life, trying different things and see how it works for me, and whether it's for my health or how to deal with people. And you find it, okay, maybe when I'm real blunt like this, people don't like that. Maybe I need to learn to couch my words a little more delicately. And but it's all a big experiment, and it's okay to test things out and try it out and see what works, what doesn't work, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and in looking at what works and doesn't work, it's looking at the whole scope. It's not just my tone of voice. It's not just what they said back to me. It's looking at, did we feel tight or was it relaxing?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many things to consider. And again, is it drawing us closer together? Is it pushing us further apart? Is it food? Is it fodder to grow, or is it closing down? I mean, there's just so many aspects to look at something.
Yeah. Yeah. And to
But
just
maybe
be
it goes back.
aware of all the different ways you can do things and how people respond to what you're doing, how you respond. How do I feel when I do this, when I change my attitude?
Right. Right. In Sunday's paper, there was the cartoon Greg Evans at Luann, and she was in her classroom preparing for the next day's class, and she had written on the board "Merry Christmas," and a little girl came in and said, "Oh, well, we're Jewish," so she wrote up there, also "Happy Hanukkah."
Mm-hmm.
And then various ones were saying various different things. And she said, "Well, we celebrate Kwanzaa. Well, we do this. Well, we do that. Well, we do something else." And she kept writing down, all the different ones that was coming in. Many I had not even heard of,
Yeah.
And then she also put down the happy holidays and all this. And then
Yeah.
down at the very bottom, she kept, adding to. Down at the bottom, she just put peace in great, big, huge, bold letters and put like 3 exclamation points to it. And as I was looking at that, I'm thinking, people that see this cartoon, does it bring peace to them?
Mm.
Or does it bring confusion? Does it bring anger even?
Anger, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to the fact that in one is the whole, and in every piece is part of the whole, and every piece put together makes up the whole, from the atoms all the way up to whatever the most magnificent, most secure, solid thing there is. It's all a part of it. And so it's realizing that we're celebrating.
Uh-huh.
And it's to celebrate family, and it's to celebrate the mystery of life. It is to celebrate how we came together, where our origins come from. And there's more commonality to them than there is diversity if we'll just get honest with ourselves and the humanity of each individual person. And to allow it to bring joy to us, allow it to bring peace to us.
Yeah. Well, I think about several years ago, we were walking in the neighborhood on Christmas morning, and I saw this family, and I just said, I mean, I was in a good mood, and I was trying to be friendly, and I it just came out of my mouth, well, Merry Christmas, and then I noticed that they were Jewish. And then my husband kind of, elbowed me, and I'm like, well, if they don't understand, then that's their issue. I'm feeling good, and it was just a greeting for me to kind of pass on my good feeling to them. But did you do feel uncomfortable and insensitive when you say something like that? But I wasn't really looking. I mean, I was just trying. I felt good, and I wanted to pass on my good feelings.
Right. And it's not to allow that to take your joy away.
Right.
Circumstances will not steal my joy. But at the same time, there is that potential there, and being aware of that, and also realizing that I was not saying a greeting to someone else as an intent to hurt or harm.
Right.
And then just, a little prayer that, because, the heart math says that everything that's in our heart, it really surrounds us like about 3 feet, and that it projects out to the whole world. I was, again, wonderful podcast listening to that someone said that our heart is well, I don't remember what they said, but it was how it just sends out messages that connects with the whole world.
Yeah.
And whether that's positive or negative.
It's that energy that you have inside of you. And I want, if I'm full of positive energy, I want to contaminate you. Not everybody wants to receive it, but I feel like it's, I'm feeling good, and I just want to pass that on. And, but not everybody wants it, but that's their deal. And, but my intentions are good.
Right. And as we become aware of the fact that we want to continually be improving and growing, that we can begin to transcend and to rise above, and to have a wonderful season, whatever the season is, whether it's the middle of summer, the dead of winter, or whatever, to be full of love and joy and peace and mystery. And the thing of it is that when we are open to love and forgiveness and connecting, then the peaceful celebration story, the peaceful Christmas story, the peaceful whatever message begins to be birthed in our hearts. And it begins to be, we can become who we were intended to be. We can fulfill those dreams. We can fulfill those wants, dislikes, and let go of the fears and the anger and the discord.
Yeah.
And maybe if we can just let, a little bit in, again, back to my little example of holding my heart here, holding that I want it to come in, and at the same time, I want to filter out what is no longer useful.
Yeah.
What is no longer, what's keeping me stuck.
Yeah.
So I can move forward.
And so, when you look at the intent of the other person, the intent was not negative. It was a positive thing. So let's just go with the intent and smile and keep moving on.
Yeah.
So I guess our time is up for today. So thanks for the discussion. And thanks to anybody who's watching this on the replay. We appreciate that. And we'll be back again next week with another edition of Greet the Week. Bye-bye.